Hi, I'm Zale, and today I'm going to take you into the Cursed Kingdoms of Kynera campaign setting. We'll begin with the Legend of the Kingdoms. Lore tells of mysterious ancients known as the Ends that once ruled over an alliance of vast and powerful kingdoms built upon high magic. Legends and oral histories passed down through generations speak of floating cities and advanced arcana that existed before the fall of Kynera. No one living knows what happened to the ancient Kynerans, but what is known is that the sprawling wall separating the Northern Enclosure from the rest of the world, itself an ancient Kyneran megastructure, has broken. Following the recent earthquake, a crack large enough to walk through easily has appeared, leaving the Northern Enclosure open to the shadows that lurk beyond the walls. Now, the tribes are whispering. Perhaps for the first time in living memory, the moment has finally come to venture forth and explore the Cursed Kingdoms of Kynera. The Cursed Kingdoms of Kynera campaign setting is designed to favor player-driven campaigns, and the content of this setting is designed to favor exploration. As such, there are certain limitations placed on the party with regards to item, feat, and feature rarity. By imposing limits on the option selections available to player characters, the players are suddenly required to evaluate the effectiveness of different feats, items, and spells, and expand their horizons so that they can utilize their imaginations with regards to their selections. For example, wizards in a Kynera campaign must now track down that elusive scroll or tome containing a rare spell in order to learn it. Since the fall of the ancient kingdoms, the current of Aether of Kynera is a damaged and fractured thing, held together only by the etheric lines of energy that crisscross its surface. From the lowliest cantrips to the mightiest spells, the mysterious ebb and flow of magical aether on Earth is as diverse as it is powerful. Though it has many names, in most places it is referred to as the Ethereal Current or the Arcane Tide. Scholars and historians claim that in ages past, the flow of magic was even greater than it is today, allowing wondrous works of arcana with the use of ley lines as conduits. There are even whispers of a counterflow that runs beneath the arcane current, the shadow current. While ley lines and pervasive magic are both included in the new types of magic introduced by the Book of Unlimited Magic, they are very important to the history and setting of Kynera. Ley lines make up the framework of the ethereal flows, while there are many areas of Kynera of wild or pervasive magic left over from the collapse of the ancient kingdoms. The Northern Enclosure, also known as the Norlands, Ursh, Cly, or the Gion River Valley, is comprised of the Gion River and the valley that surrounds it. No one knows why, but somehow the interior of the valley is protected, and shadows cannot enter very far beyond the massive wall that spans the gap between the northern mountains. This safety has allowed the tribes of the Northern Enclosure to flourish, but the danger beyond its borders and the difficulty of passing over the wall has also prevented the recovery of much from the ruins of Kynera. After the fall of the Kyneran kingdoms, the last of the Ends guided the humans and the Vesses, or beastfolk, to the Gion Valley and using powerful magics sacrificed themselves to create the enclosure, an immense alabaster wall that reaches across the gap between the Leunin and Hyron mountains, north of the Gion River. Without the Ends to guide them, the people were lost until they encountered groups of dragonkin emerging from the eastern mountains. While very little is known about the lands outside the Northern Enclosure, some legends and ancient writings on the wall itself detail one of the ancient kingdoms. The kingdom that ruled the lands beyond the wall was most likely called Remora or Limor, and much of their iconography contains images of animals. Prominently featured on most Remoran architecture are the bull, tiger, and owl, and while there are many bulls and owls within the Northern Enclosure, no one living has ever seen any type of striped cat resembling the carvings that resides in the Northern Enclosure. Aside from its name and iconography, little else is known of Remora, although rumors are in no short supply. Legend says that Remora was one of the last kingdoms to fall, and that it fell quickly, leading to the loss of most of the knowledge of the kingdom. There are representatives from many ancestries living alongside one another within the enclosure. Humans once lived throughout the entirety of Kynera, but that age is long past. Now, many distinct groups of humans live in the small shamanistic tribal villages and nomadic bands that scavenge the ruins of once great kingdoms. Fetchlings are rumored to have originated from seers in the ancient kingdoms that consorted with shadows to gain power, while others posit that they are descended from the ancient Nimarin, a group of Ents that were known to wield darker powers, although no one really knows their true origins. Draugr were most commonly raised by necromancy or alchemy. Awakened Draug go to lengths to spice or salt their food, stimulating their decaying taste buds any way they can. Most spend their unlives in service to their long-dead ancient creators, but a few overcome their bonds long enough to remember something of their former lives. Awakened Draug retain some of their personality, experiences, and remember parts of their life as a fuzzy dream of conflicting messages, feelings, and emotions. When the humans and Vesas arrived in the Northern Enclosure, they found the Dragonkin there waiting for them. Contrary to their fearsome appearance, the Dragonkin welcomed these refugees into their camps and villages with open arms, teaching them their simple ways of hunting, fishing, and farming. Orcs are a hardy and tough people that tend to live alongside humans. Ancient legends tell of the orcs' arrival shortly before the fall of the kingdoms. It is said that the orcs came to Kynera in search of a new home, although no knowledge of their previous homeland or their reasons for leaving survived the collapse of ancient Kynera. Since the fall, orcs have fully integrated themselves into Kyneran society and can be found among all the tribes within the Northern Enclosure. The Vesas are actually several ancestries, and not one single ancestry as they are often referred to. Put simply, the Vesas are an assortment of different beastfolk. The Leun are large, muscular, imposing beastfolk with leonine features and cloven hooves. The Leun are found in their greatest numbers among the Emis and Etrusc clans, but often live among themselves in small tight-knit groups of subsistence hunters. Leun are known for being fearless and courageous, often to their own detriment, charging headlong into dangerous situations. The Leunari, or centaurs, are thought to share an ancestor with the Leun due to their many similarities. The Leunari are massive centaur-like beings with the lower body of a horse and their humanoid half having leonine features, much like the smaller Leun. The Leunari are known as fierce, xenophobic hunters and raiders, and few Leunari speak the common tongue of the Northern Enclosure. Many villages that border the Leonin Mountains have protections in place to ward off raids by bands of Lunari. The diminutive Shuni are an industrious, loyal, and joyous beastfolk that resemble dogs. Anywhere that humans can be found, so can the Shuni. Shuni are known for their work ethic, often working long hours at their chosen profession. The Strix are tall, thin humanoids with taloned feet and large wings. Capable of flight, the Strix are one of the few peoples that have had unrestricted access to the lands outside the enclosure. Many of the relics from beyond the wall that have made it into the lands of the enclosure were brought there by Strix explorers. The Volfin are tall, slender beastfolk with wolf-like features. The Volfin are known for their morbid sense of humor, strategic thinking, and ruthless cunning. A Volfin can be an incredibly close friend or an intensely dangerous enemy. Most Volfin prefer to live in and around the forests of the Northern Enclosure, although some more social Volfin can be found in villages. The Southern Mountains are home to the Yeti, a group of large, bulky humanoids with dense fur coats and horns. Yeti are exceptionally superstitious and live in isolated communities of 5 or 6 individuals, preferring small communal cave dwellings instead of houses or villages. The faiths presented here are the philosophies and objects of worship that exist within the Northern Enclosure. Tyr, the Great Bull, the god of time and king of the gods, is perhaps the most worshipped god by the people of the Gion River Valley. Legends say that the horned god could control time and warp reality, that he created the world of Aerith, and that when he set foot upon the world, the mountains themselves began to weep tears of joy, creating the rivers. The oldest account of Tyr says, In his touch was their life, in his word was their death, by his blade was their justice. Aeos is the goddess of balance and keeper of the glyphs. Aeos is credited with teaching humans the knowledge of reading and writing. While many offer prayers to Aeos, her shrines are few and far between, and the number of worshippers that truly follow her are predominantly scholars and shamans bent on the discovery of ancient texts. Ridis is the goddess of loss and change, and when she's not aiding her brother in the protection and guidance of the dead, she leads the gods in battle. Ridis is depicted as a beautiful weeping woman with red hair and green eyes. Arlafon the Crystal Dragon, dragon god of magic and creation, is the mysterious creator of the Dragonkin. Due to their lack of written records until the arrival of humans, legends extolling the virtues of Arlafon abound. The foremost of these is the legend that Arlafon breathed the Dragonkin into existence in the mountains ringing the Northern Enclosure. Some people don't worship gods in the traditional sense. Many in the Gion River Valley participate in animistic practices or ancestor worship. Perhaps the most widely practiced faith in the Gion River Valley is ancestor worship. This can take many forms, from small shrines with offerings to one's family, to temples hosting animal sacrifices devoted to tribal heroes. Due to the wildly varying nature of ancestor worship, it can be hard to generalize about its practitioners. Remoran animism is rooted in a deep connection to the land and its inhabitants. Many followers of these animistic practices believe that the world itself is a living being with a will of its own, whose constant support is required for all life to flourish. As such, one must strive to exist in harmony with the living world, seeking lessons from all the plants and animals that reside within it. This concludes the Cursed Kingdoms of Kynera campaign setting introduction. Thank you for watching. Our upcoming campaign, Seekers of the Song, debuts at 9 p.m. CST on August 6th. We look forward to seeing you in Kynera.